Hello, my name is Jackson Willard, and today I'm going to talk about one of the most important but also controversial events in world history. The Cold War was a mixture of political conflicts and two wars, the Korean War and the Vietnam War. The conflict began in 1947, towards the end of World War II, and ended in 1991. The major players in this conflict were the United States, the USSR, or the United Soviet Socialist Republic, North and South Korea, North and South Vietnam, an island in the Gulf of Mexico called Cuba, and a city in Germany called Berlin. When the Second World War ended and the Nazis surrendered, the Soviet Union, a reluctant ally of the United States, started to push their ideals of a communist regime towards Western Europe, which ultimately began the conflict along with the emergence of nuclear weapons, which the United States introduced with a big bang by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in World War II. But now I think it's time to go into more important and more specific events during this war of ideals. The Korean War began in 1950 when the North Korean army invaded South Korea with 75,000 men. The South Koreans were very outnumbered and called on the United States for aid. The United States responded and fought alongside the South Koreans. After 3 years of bloody war, an armistice was written and signed by the two parties to unofficially end the war. Now, the Bay of Pigs. The Bay of Pigs was a conflict that was started by the United States. The United States tried to infiltrate the communist regime of Cuba, led by Fidel Castro. They disguised themselves as refugees and were caught and fled, and in response to the Bay of Pigs, a spy plane photographed pictures of Soviet and Cuban missile sites being built along the coast of Cuba. Now, the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War began when North Vietnam invaded South Vietnam. South Vietnam also called for aid by the United States. The United States greatly underestimated the power of the North Vietnamese army and took heavy losses in one of the bloodiest wars in American history. Though through the heavy losses, the United States and the South Vietnamese ultimately won. Now, the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was a major staple of hope. After long negotiations, President Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev came to a pact to tear down the wall that separated East and West Berlin. East Berlin was free, but West Berlin was under the hold of a communist regime. The wall separated families and friends, but the wall broke through those barriers and gave them hope. What this conflict was to end the constant constraining of communism on the world and not making communism one of the major forms of government in the world. Communism in Russia eventually fizzled out and gave hope to the Vietnamese, the Koreans, and the Russians for a form of freedom, and also gave hope for those still under the hold of this awful form of government. Thank you. My sources for this are history.com/the Cold War, Britannica /Vietnam War, militarytimes.com/the Korean War, jfklibrary.org/Cuban Missile Crisis, www.history.com/Cold War/Berlin Wall, and www.bbc.com. Thank you.